This business has a lot of disrespect because that's what people think it's operated on. Somebody on the airplane was like, what is the music industry like? I said, it's like this f***ed up flight. It's like I'm in business class next to you, but you probably got more money than me, but I'm in the same seat. And the people that worked hard to get a ticket are in the very back and can't let up, and it's called class. So the music business is like that, and I don't want to do that, man. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be next to somebody that take my heart and my spirit for weakness, because this all me and my babies got.
What's going on, y'all? Y'all make some noise. We got Terrace Martin on the couch today on Bars and Nuggets. What's going on, man?
What's up, man?
You doing all right?
Yep.
You chilling?
Chilling.
Good day?
Every day's a good day.
You've been in the studio, so you don't really see too much of the day because you be in the booth.
It looks like a studio right now. It's dark.
Where have you been creatively lately? Like, how's that been going? How's the process? How's the vibe?
Process has been cool. Like we said in the back room, I was talking about mentally where I'm at is like on some Master P type mentality. But with art though, just you know, I felt like with art, everybody takes this long amount of time to either create a piece or do music, and you know, artists like to, you know, not all of them, but a lot of artists like to be held up on a pedestal of like, I'm an artiste, I take my time and. But you know, I don't see it like that no more. I see life like, you know, we all on borrowed time, and I'm just trying to make my time count. So if I'm a recording artist and a record producer, and the creator gave me the ability to create for a living to feed all of my children, why not do it every day and just put out records, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why, for me, I stay in the studio, and it keep me out of trouble, man. It's low cost too, you know. It's low cost. You know, when my kids say, "Daddy, it's my birthday," we gonna have your birthday at the studio. Can my friends come? It's a parking lot in front. Get one of the jumpers, you know. Have my cousin do the tacos, and we, you know, everything at the studio.
Keep it family.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Talk to me about your city and your love for your city, because that comes out a lot in your music and how you share and even your expression, right? And so I guess what the question would be is, what is it about South Central that that you think is so special?
Well, first, it starts with my father, right, raising me and explaining to me that in our family, this is my shit. It's my shit.
Yeah, let me preface.
It's my shit, my opinion. What my father taught me, this is my shit. This is what he taught me, and what we in my village. What a man is somebody that provides, protects, and takes care of his village first, right? So first being the village is your family, your immediate family. After your immediate family, the part of your village is the environment in which you raise your family in. The environment in which my family, what the creator chose us to be in, was the west side of South Central Los Angeles, Slauson and West Boulevard, where I was born at, and the Crenshaw and Slauson area.
Yeah.
So I say that to say, even if I was from, I don't know, Santa Ana, I would have the same respect.
Same respect.
The same thing. I would know what these streets meant. I would know who walked these streets. I would know why this is that. If I was from Atlanta, I wouldn't be in depth because my family are deep historians of where we're from. And, you know, so it starts there, but then the LA, because I'm from LA, born and raised in LA, and I have a love for LA because I personally feel like LA was so gentle and forgiving to me, particularly, you know, in the months of it wasn't so gentle to all my friends. I saw a pattern of where if you treat that village a certain type of way and get involved in certain things, you know, it would test you. Then I saw another way where you just mind your own fucking business and, you know, maybe go home when they about to go to that street. Maybe you say, oh.
Say it's time to go.
My keys, bro. my mama, my key. Go there and I'll be right back. When I figured out that's how you stay alive in that area, I started learning other things about certain places, you know, especially South Central LA, just where it comes from, it being a hub. Then you finding out the music. Barry White lived in my neighborhood. It's like,
Wow.
you know, all my heroes was there. Battle Cat's my first influence as a producer. He lived right there. He the one brought me on the scene. Corrupt was one of the biggest influences. You know, he stayed on 59th and 8th Ave. That's,
Jeez.
you know, right there by Dorset Village. And I went to Marcus Garvey on 7th Ave in Slauson. Kamasi lived about 2 miles up the way. Stephen Bruner, Thundercat, they lived 2 miles the other way. You know, and then on Crenshaw, you could always see Ice Cube drive to his studio called Street Knowledge on 43rd and Degnan. 43rd and Crenshaw.
I'm watching him map it out.
Yeah, 43rd and Crenshaw.
So you're just surrounded by.
Yeah, so that was, So it was like, for me, I was from there and it wasn't no reason to go anywhere else. Maverick Flats, all the jazz shit was right in Lamert Park. So, and this is Lamert, this is like South Central, the West Side. So up in Baldwin Hills and View Park, you seeing the Bentleys, the road. So you don't gotta go to Beverly Hills and see, you know, see a white couple with a Bentley and a big house. You could go up, because we all going to the same schools though.
Sure.
You know, and the homies that's living all through the overhills and different places, they just as active with 2-parent households, doctor and lawyer, as the homies that's staying off Bryanhurst. It's just, you know, so it's like, it's a melting pot of everything in one. That's why I love it, because the Crenshaw district is no separation.
Yeah.
The poor they hang with the rich. You know, the rich hang with, and it's not even like that. It's not even like, you better not mention, you better keep it on some humble. They know you live up there, but keep it cool, because, you know. I'm just saying, like, so it teaches you how to be humble quick, you know.
You learn how to survive, as you said.
That's why I love that area. And then when I went to high school, I went to Watts, I went to Lock High, which was like, I'm talking about my shit is like that. This is some other type mentality. This is like, I learned so much by going to Watts that I never thought I'd
What was so different?
What?
I mean, you know, I had to ask.
You know, it's riders all through LA. Period. Especially the area I come from. It's a big neighborhood. But that Watts car, that East Side, it's. So I went to Lock High, which is really not Watts. It's really Holly Watts. It get deep when you got to go over there to even get this information. You got to be amongst the locals. And the one thing I learned is, if I could simplify it, is face value is everything there, which means when I went to Lock High, I was in 10th grade, I already had a car. I was the only student with a car though. So the teacher, so Mr. Andrews was like, man, you should park in the teacher parking lot. I'm like, what? So I'm parking right here. Cause I want all the girls to see how to park. Yeah. You feel me? So I'm parking right here. And he said, this is different than the Crenshaw district. It's
a little different.
It's a little different. I said, parking right here.
You doubled down.
So I parked there, and I remember I was coming from school where I could go to my car for lunch, you know. And I remember I was saying, I'm about to go to my car, probably spark up a little joint, you know what I'm saying? 10th grade, I'm smoking weed already. So I go to the car, but I see about 30 people just sitting on my car. These were younger, these were like 9th grade. I'm like, this is some mamas on my, it's school hours. I'm like, why so many people? Is something going on?
Yeah, you curious.
Is it a fight by my car? So as I get closer, I realize they just on my car, sitting up, they having lunch on my car. So I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get to my car.
Yeah, what's up?
One of the dudes was like, this is my car.
He deboed you?
Instantly I say, oh, this is what he was talking about.
This is what he was trying to tell you.
So I say, but I'm this ain't no, I'm not, But I do have to
But you gotta look at the numbers.
I do have to recondition my thoughts. So I say, what can I say? So I say, Well, just find me a space. Let me eat my lunch too in the car. So I just started like, y'all cool?
Yeah,
Y'all
let
cool,
me fit
man?
in.
I ended up being friends with them after that. I parked in the teacher parking lot. But it was that you know, pretty much they just wanted to see who Carter was, and before you park your car on our turf, you gotta check in and communicate, because we would do the same thing. You an unfamiliar source over here. You from the west side, we could smell you. So before you get hurt, you may want to check in and holler and pay respect to this particular village, because you're not from over here. I went through a lot of other shit to decide that, but that's what I just lived
But that's
here.
essentially where it landed.
I went through some, man, I'm through shit.
So you've been learning. You've been learning some things.
Man, I had to fight for that to get them. Some lessons had to come with some real fights, you know, but all those things I went through in those years, in that whole Watts and South Central community, I still operate on those rules.
On those principles,
you know,
still today.
Like in the music business, you know, and I'm from LA, so when you from here, you kind of bred in the industry anyway, because everybody we mingle with even if you're not in the business,
you still.
As a kid, you going next to a Disney store, that's gonna be fucked up later, but they a Disney store now. we grow with they all our friends. They smoke my weed and all, they was the fucked up ones. They was the bad influences coming to the hood. I'm not lying. The Disney stars, because they all had access in cars early.
Yeah, they had bread.
I ain't gonna say the names, but a lot of them are the homies.
Say the names.
You feel me? Say the names. They was pulling up, you know?
Look, tell me about, because you talked about the lessons, but I'm curious of some other lessons too, because, you know, your dad, right, Curly Martin, has such a large influence on you. You know, he's a drummer. He was inducted to the Omaha Black Music Hall of Fame. How did his career influence you as
everything? Because my father influenced me because he didn't separate. That's where I got the I used to tell him, man, he used to say, he used to call me like, what's up, you practicing? Yeah, I'm practicing, man. What you practicing? I'm trying to get this shit down, learn this. He'd be like, cool. You better practice how to work, motherfucker. I said, what you mean? He was like, practicing all that shit you practicing, that's cool. And none of that gonna get you no work. I said, man, why you always, I'm thinking about the art. He said, how the fuck you gonna drink water and eat food without working though, to even get to the art? And he said, stop separating that shit. It's not, you can't separate that. People always wanna separate business from your art, but how do you live without business?
They're together.
How do you pay your bills on time? How do you pay your phone bill? Or, you know, how do you, even that little stressing moment when you can't afford to pay something, I still got trauma from evictions young, so I still wake up hearing with the sheriffs at the door. That's why I get money on some other shit. So how do you separate? When you separate shit, that's when that shit come in for me personally. So my dad taught me like, man, all that, I'm an artist and I'm gonna stand over here and be in all deep shit. That's weak. That's not of the people. That's not human being shit to us. You feel me? Survive. It's more non-artists, people that need to live, than motherfuckers with drums, saxophones, and keyboards and singing songs all damn day. That's a pleasure. That's a very humbling, beautiful thing if you in that position to make money with some motherfucking art. Because 98% of artists don't make nothing. We don't even see the baddest motherfuckers on earth. We don't see them. I know where they at though, all through the Midwest, all through these small towns, Wichita, Kansas, Omaha. We don't see the real amazing singers that don't need auto-tune, writers that write anything, musicians that they're out with hardcore jobs trying to survive and doing it regardless. That's what I'm saying. The commitment I took, if I was driving a forklift, I would be doing this every day.
You'd still be.
My commitment was so deep and dark, I said, if I gotta hit a lick, this when I was like 17, if I gotta rob a bank or hit a lick, I gotta still be able to practice in jail.
Wow.
It was the commitment. Where we go, wherever it go, I gotta take this motherfucker with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I like that mentality because I got children that don't do music for a living. Like my mama, they don't do no music for no living. Like, so, you know, why am I separating that? When I see everybody for Thanksgiving, you know, ain't nobody talking about, did you hear that chord? That they talking about Beyonce. They talking about how they paid a gang of money for Beyonce concert tickets, and they mad because I didn't call my friends and hook them up, and they talking about they not talking about how great this picture or this art is made. They want to hear some songs that make them feel good. My mama gonna play the Gap Band. My little cousin's gonna play some Summer Walker. You know, when my other cousins come in that's mad at they man, they gonna play SZA. You know, it's going. My intellectual hood, they gonna play Kendrick. My burnt one's gonna always play Lil Boosie. So it's like it's all these. It's like
I'm from Louisiana. Play that Boosie.
But it's all these things that aren't this artiste. It's just no, we happy black human beings living, and that's the music that's the page I'm on. I'm not on no art page. Like I could give a fuck about an artist honestly, cause that ain't helping the country right now with all this shit going on.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for black folks and with everything in different areas, like, you know, jobs and finances is gonna help us.
Yeah.
Songs gonna make it smooth and get there.
It'll help us get there, but you're right. Like there's work that we still have to do, and
it's work, and these people gotta start dropping the bag to help us out, and we gonna get our own shit. That's really gotta be. So I got all these other things on my mind, and I'm always paying college tuitions and all kind of shit that ain't got nothing to do with a song. You know what I'm saying? But the song is part of my soul, but it's not. The song is part of me. It's not of me though. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
It's not all of you.
Nah, man.
You're multifaceted. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit because I wanted to talk a little bit about your social activity.
When the police pull me over, I do say I'm an artist though. I'm an artiste.
It says from my art.
Yeah.
So you had a bit of a flex on this platform called X, and I thought it was interesting because you posted a collection of saxophones, and you said, "I don't buy fancy cars. I got a different problem."
Yeah.
Do you just go out and buy a ton of instruments all the time?
I'm a collector.
Okay.
I'm a collector, and I think it comes from the typical. You know, it's not a bad thing to have, but it does come from the same gene of when you grow up not having something, you get a lot of money, you buy cars, or you buy jewelry, or you buy this. Yeah, I always desired instruments though.
Huh.
So when I start making enough money where I could buy those things, you know, you gotta think like I'm doing rap and pop records.
Yeah.
So my fetish of instruments is like, it ain't like the Bentley, you know, but it's worth a lot more than the Bentley.
Yeah.
The value goes up a lot.
Goes
it's
up.
A little different than the
Appreciates.
Bentley. It's a lot more respected than the Rolex. And if you know, it's a few people that knew.
Yeah.
And it's for that. You know, I'm not the loud dude, but the ones that needed to know that was my flex in my
That was your flex, yeah.
Because it's a bar. I won't even get that deep into it. I want to get robbed, but you know what I'm saying? And it also comes from when I was young, you know, and I'm talking to my therapist about this. I'm end up getting rid of the collection because the collection was it was me dealing with some insecurities that I always passed down trauma, where my father was also at the same time, he was a musician that was affected by white musicians that came in the 70s in LA. Because, okay, this is the shit.
Okay.
I'm about to give you the shit. I gotta leave out a lot of names, you know, to protect. No, that's that new wave punk shit. I ain't falling none of that new shit. I'm gonna go down with it. Cause I gotta answer to myself.
Facts.
But I do be wanting to say something, motherfucker. But anyway, so just to get a rough, you know, I grew up under I'm considered a successful musician. Cause I do concerts, I do tours, I'm known, I do records, I make a living doing this. I grew up under working musicians. Completely different lifestyle.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up under the musicians that lived above the 10 freeway off Wilshire Boulevard and Hollywood Hills and the Valley and the house. I grew up with musicians that were amazing, that had to sell dope, have day jobs, you know, be on the county sometime. And I grew up with the musician community of workers that would play the music of Herbie Hancock, play the music of these people, play the music of. So this crew of people are really affected by a lot of things, you know, and I'm conscious of that now. That's why I do so many kind of records. But so to break it down, in Los Angeles, you have two levels of musicians in the 70s and 80s. You have the working, high-level studio.
Yep.
And Dougal Chancellor, Harvey Mason, look up all these huge names. Yeah. Patrice Rush, I mean just session musicians. Yeah. Jerry Hay, Greg Fillinganes, just huge, famous musicians. Yeah. But then you have a set of musicians in South Central Watson and everything that just play the clubs around town. So I grew up in that world. And every time that world would you know, that's the world that's like, you know, you hear me and Ronald Bruner was talking about this. That's a drummer. Grew up with him and Steven, him and Thundercat are brothers. Yeah. And our parents grew up the same way. So we talk about hearing our fathers wait for that call. Like, hey, it's a session in the Valley. If that drummer don't show up, you could probably get the session, but you should show up anyway with your drums and just be ready. Yeah. Just think this could be your shot. Jeez. So you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, and never. So my father kind of fast forward. My father and those guys trained me and Kamasi and them. They were adamant about us learning theory and sight reading music very young because the object of the thing was to, you know, I grew up in the house, and I don't think like this now, but I'm just giving you how I'm raised, is you have to be 10 steps and 10 times better than the white musician that's gonna read music and theory and know all these things, how to transpose. All these words that I laugh at now, that shit is second nature. Like, that shit's whatever to me. I worked hard to get that shit, you know, and I worked hard to keep it still. But so our parents raised us like, get up, 6 o'clock, clapping count sheets, read music, this and that. You have to get up early at 5 o'clock, Terry. Why, Dad? Because in New York, it's already 3 hours ahead. They're already practicing. They're already practicing. And you're gonna be competing with those musicians. Wow. No, I'm not. I'm gonna do this. Well, then if you're gonna be in this punk ass city, LA, because he hated LA. Cause he ain't from it. If you're gonna be in this corny motherfucking, this corny, who you hang with is who you are city, then you're gonna have to really know how to play flute, clarinet, play in tune, different styles of music, sight read, transpose, orchestrate, produce, play piano. You have to be better than everybody that kept all of us down. So we're built a different way. Bro.
You had to be undeniable is basically how your
I was denied a lot, so I don't know if I was undeniable,
but in mentality-wise and talent-wise, like, of course folks can still do that, but like he was saying, like, even if you're gonna have a shot.
Oh, even a shot, and we did. I pay that, like, man, me and Kamasi, you know, I mean, from horn-wise, I say from my first session ever on a record that I seen out, I was in high school and I had to play on the whole score to a movie called Joanna Man. That was in '96. That was kind of my first seeing that happen, you know? But then after that, man, me and Kamasi, we was doing all of the horn sessions, but what happened was we was reading everything, but I was also going through some mental and some internal hood shit. You know, I was fighting gun cases young and going through all that shit. But do I want to do art or do I want to do fraud? You know, I was great at both, so I wouldn't figure out. I chose art because I didn't like jail.
You didn't like jail.
And I wouldn't.
Great choice.
I realized I act tough, but when I went to jail one time, I was like, okay, my tough is turned down. Somebody said, where you from? Man, look, let me tell you, my mama from here, and I grew up here. But yeah, man, I just think, you know, we was really built a certain type of way, and we was built being courteous, being gentle, and playing the fuck out the instruments, listening, knowing how to read music. But I was gonna say we did so many records and so many sessions for TV shows, but by the time we got to that, we were 20 and 21 doing all the records with everybody 50 and 60 on the movie sets.
Hmm.
Like if you look at Life, I'm playing saxophone in Life at high school, all that shit. So I was like, you know what, Kamasi, if this is where this is at, you know, I was young. So I was like, they ain't fly. Ain't no pretty girls here. They niggas driving whack cars. Like, this is not the game, bro.
Yeah.
What we gonna do? I was like, man, we gotta provide a service. So I remember the day I called my boy Marlon Williams. He's the main guitar player with Snoop since the 90s. Most recorded guitar player in record in hip hop history is Marlon Williams. Definitely with all the Death Row stuff. So I said, Marlon, man, if Snoop ever needs some horns, man, or anything, I'm trying to get us cracking because this session shit with all these old motherfuckers is weak.
You say this ain't it.
This shit weak, bro. And the union taking all this money and people, you know, it's weak.
Yeah.
This shit ain't fly. You feel me?
Yeah.
It ain't my shit. Can't smoke weed. It's just not.
Can't be myself.
Just can't be myself.
Yeah.
Cause we were new. We were like a new kind of musician.
Right.
You know, I'm still bringing the guns to the session because I'm selling guns. Then I'm not robbing. I'm just selling them. So I'm all about getting money young. So I'm just selling guns. That's how I went to jail for selling guns.
That's how you got in trouble.
Not shooting nobody. But yeah, Snoop got to us, man, and I put the horn section together with Snoop. And through Snoop, people started wanting horns on all the records. So 50 track, we just started doing all the horns on everything.
Well, take me back to the Snoop session. What song or what project were y'all working on?
I came in with Snoop. The album was Top Dog. That's the record. That's the second record on No Limit. And I came in through Superfly and Marlon. And so I was like 17. I was like 17 then or something like that. 17, 18, something like that. So that's when I got with Snoop. But then on the second album was this is when we really started cracking with him. With the band was Snoop Dogg. Who's that? The Last Meal. Snoop. We did the Jay Leno show, and that's when we had the whole band. Parliament, he fell in love with the band. The band was me, Kamasi, Thundercat. It was an all-star cast. James Fauntleroy singing background. It was just stupid. But these were the dudes we was sharing gas money, so it wasn't like I handpicked these motherfuckers and we was just around. You know what I'm saying? And that was the session. That Snoop put us all on the new age musician pedestal. It's like I always say, with all due respect with Quest and everybody in Philly, because the Roots had a sound. The Roots was to me the first hip hop band.
Yeah.
But I think my crew and the generation before us were the first hip hop session record musicians, for sure, at the highest level. And shout out to Suge, because Death Row was really involved in making sure all live musicians in LA was working, and everybody got paid. Everybody sent the invoice in, and Suge paid all the musicians well on Death Row. That's straight up. But Suge and Snoop were very responsible in musicians, the resurgence of musicians on records. Suge Knight, straight up.
Did you have any? Did you ever get any insight to why that was so important to them?
Yeah, because when Snoop got with Drake, from what Snoop tell me, I ain't read nothing I tell y'all. This is all just me being around, living with these motherfuckers, smoking weed, cooking enchiladas and shit. Just, you feel me? But always recognizing, oh my God, my mentor is an icon. Let me ask him all these questions while nobody's around, because I want this information.
I want the game.
So Snoop was responsible for really pushing a lot of that Death Row music into the funk situation, because he was a 70s baby loving funk and loving Parliament and everything. You know, just like the story when they came up with Doggy Style, the song, how they was just from partying all night the next day and Dr. Dre's Benz riding, playing Atomic Dog, and Snoop saying, Snoop Doggy, and Dre saying, let's go record that.
Huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in doing that music, and Dre had he had Stan the Guitar Man, which is, Stan the Guitar Man, I mentioned a brother named Marlon Williams. Stan the Guitar Man is the guitar player on all the early NWA records that influenced the next set of musicians. But Dre already had Stan the Guitar Man playing bass and guitar on all those NWA records. And I think when they got to Death Row, the music just expanded so much. And Snoop was connected with Val Young. Shout out to Auntie Val. And Val was so connected. Val was connected with Rick James, Tina Marie, and Eyes. She was connected, so she connected Snoop with everybody. And Snoop, being a childhood fan of these people, just started assimilating live musicians and all these big things that make that Death Row sound big. That's why you have a guy, Carl Butch Smalls, is very monumental in Death Row music. He's the one that helped invent this instrument called the flexitone. And when you hear claps like Parliament, bzz, clap, bzz, and more bounce, that's Carl Butch Smalls getting 2 2x4s and going bzz, clap in the studio, clap, clap. And they use those techniques on the Death Row records.
Wow.
Carl Butch Smalls and Ricky Rouse on guitar, Barney Rubble on keys, Superfly Brooks on keys. The whole Death Row movement had like very important musicians. To this day now, when I work with a Travis Scott or anybody of today, the techniques that were set in stone then are the techniques why they call me. You know, that's why them records be sounding like that when I touch on them.
Yeah, they have a very distinct
And it
sound.
ain't cause I shouldn't say like I touch on them. I call the right cats that lived it along
that
with
have
me,
those
that knew
techniques.
those things. I'm just the liaison for some other bad motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of, like, you mentioned Travis Scott, but Kendrick Lamar, Snoop Dogg, Herbie Hancock, Stevie Wonder, the list is very long of the folks that you've
I'm
collaborated
old
with.
now, so it should be. Shit.
What do you find most fulfilling about working with other artists?
Only thing I find one thing fulfilling, and if I get it, I'm happy. If I don't, I'm not happy. But you know, if you pay me enough, I'll still get the gig done. Yeah, because I told you I'm art, but I'm about to,
About the guap.
You know what I'm saying? You know, there's a lot of money living that life. You know, you can't be on that peace shit. You know, motherfucker want to be vegan. You know, my daughter, I'm a vegan. Well, hold on now. The turkey bacon is on sale this week.
He said, go ahead.
What was the question again?
So I was saying, I was asking you, is it fulfilling, what's most fulfilling when working with another artist?
Only thing that's fulfilling, it ain't the money, it ain't nothing. The only thing that is if the artist wants to have a new experience. Because I can't provide that unless you want to do it because I'm looking for the same thing.
So it's already a no if they're like, do this thing from previous.
I can't do that shit, man. I tell them, I'm so cool, though. I'm so cool on these new artists' weak-ass budgets. That's why I don't work with a lot of artists, because they can't afford me to keep it real with you. That's why I have to work with my friends, because you can't afford me, because I can't work for nobody. I'm looking for something like this. Go to the other motherfucker that got that.
Yeah.
You know? Either go to that person, or if you say, I'm looking for something like this, like this, like this. If I feel you have all these demands, but I know your heart and I know I'm not willing to provide that, I do have a very extensive, high level that you can't get to rolodex but me. And if I feel you're worthy and respectful enough, even with those things, I'll point you and assist you and guide you to the right direction to get what you want. You know? But I have to hear the humility even within that.
Yeah.
It can't be I'll do that like that for me. You know what I'm saying? Because some motherfuckers do that.
Yeah.
Because that's the culture now, low key.
Yeah.
You know, the culture is that, that's why I don't come out the house. I'm in the studio.
You're in the studio.
That's why so many goddamn records coming out. I'm just in the studio. You know?
In the lab. Does Academy recognition mean anything to you?
You know, it does until you get it. You don't give a fuck about it till it's like, first you be like, man, fuck that, I don't care. Then they be, nomination, I'm going to shit. I'm going. You know what I'm saying? Well, you know, people, this the truth. And this the truth. Because I've been nominated, lost one, all these different things. You know, now, for me, This is the entertainment business.
Yes.
So nothing's gonna get that deep to my spirit and within this business. The Grammys is a fun thing. And it's good to be recognized. And people, the Grammys don't mean nothing. And, you know, it's to each his own. It's like weed don't get certain people high. You know what I'm saying? It get me high. That's all I need. You feel me? So the Grammys to me now is good. I get to see my peers. I take my kids every year.
That's dope.
My mama already calling for tickets. She come every year. My aunties come every year. You know, I'm a real LA player. So it's an LA event for me now. It's a real high level LA event. And I bring my kids because it's a lesson within that. And somebody can say, the Grammys don't mean nothing for you. We from 5 blocks away. We still active 5 blocks away. I'm still putting food on commissary from brothers 5 blocks away.
Wow.
I'm still in the paint 5 blocks away. This my city. So anytime it's a red carpet in this city and my kids could see that they daddy went from because my older kids is like, I can't believe you're actually making money now. my oldest be like, yo, it was rough.
Your oldest like, man.
Man, finally.
talking to their siblings like, you don't know.
I know, no.
You have no idea.
No. Man, he could tell you some shit. Because I had to communicate with him for child support when he was 13. Like, it's going to be rough 3 months, bro. So, we gonna talk a lot more. but for me, what the Grammys mean is, you know, it's just another thing to reach for. You know, just I like to give people in my village and people that are inspired by me or with my children, just the more things we have to reach for, the better.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So the Grammys they don't. It's no validation to you're not better than anybody else if you get a Grammy. But if you get one and you're nominated, you've done some type of process to get there. And that's the lesson and from my children, is why the Grammys are important, is just another thing that they can inspire to cross. It's mental exercises.
Yeah.
Mental, like, you know, they got to sit there and learn when daddy don't get called or we don't win. Daddy still sits there and smiles and congratulates everyone. Not because I really don't want to congratulate nobody. I want to leave.
I wanna
and I'm mad that we spent $30,000 on tickets and all this shit. But at the same time, I had to teach my children and everybody around me, like, this is the process.
Yeah. You're not gonna always win.
Well, we won. We got here.
Yeah.
We won. We got here. We good. We good. Let's keep coming back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Keep coming back. You know, when we don't come back, it's all good. But it's not a make or break thing, but it is for me important to my family because I like setting up things to where they could reach for things, you know? And you know, I come from a different thing, you know? So everybody sees the Grammys in a whole different way.
Yeah.
I look at Grammys like your life, it is what you make it, you know? And I love the stuff. I love Harvey. I love everybody on the Grammys. To me, it's the last set of things where my peers that care about credits care about something. I care about writing credits to an album. Only people that give a fuck is the Grammy board. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I like those little parties they be having. My mama love all the swag packs. I got a real hood family, so they want all the, you know, I bring them all.
You bring them everything.
Oh, I bring them all. Take all this shit.
It's like all these bags.
Everything.
Take it all.
Take it all. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
When I first was going years ago, no.
You'd be like, I don't need it.
No.
I don't need it.
But I start seeing like Rihanna and them take out the shit. They start having security take out. That's why I was like.
Everybody leaving with something.
So this the vibe. Watch this. Because we from here. T-Lee. Whoa! Terrace, did you leave any? Y'all said this for the community?
Yes, it's for the community.
We the community. So, you know, shout out to the, and the Grammys always been there for me when I need them. I've been involved with the Grammys since 1995.
Wow.
The Grammys helped pay for a program I was in called the Quatre program that was invented by Reggie Andrews, was a program at Locke High School where we could graduate 3 years earlier and start school early so we could start playing on the field a lot earlier in the music business. So the Grammys will have different foundations or would donate money to Reggie Andrews and Locke High School where I ended up going at. So we Me, we're all people that were products of the Grammy
Right.
and the Thelonious Monk Foundation, which is now the Herbie Hancock Institute.
Mm-hmm.
So we're products of the Grammys doing things in certain areas. People always say, well, what's the Grammys doing? You know, people that say that, I look at them and say, they don't know. They just talking shit.
They just talking. They're not in.
Yeah.
They're not involved. They're not looking at what actually.
So the Grammys LA chapter does do a substantial things in LA, and you could always. It's very resourceful. If I say right now, man, we need about 500 musical note blankets for these kids in Compton, somebody gonna figure it out on that Grammy board. So for me personally, I don't really look at the trophy no more. I look at the community.
Wow.
That's what I'm
That's
building.
fire.
Yeah.
That's dope. Speaking of, you were talking about R&B and speaking of a lot of kind of the music you're listening to right now, and you've been in the lab, and so I wanted to ask you about I Left My Heart in Ladera with Alex Isley.
Yep.
Talk to me about that project and working with Alex, because one of the things that you said that was one of the first artists in a long time, perhaps since maybe working with Kendrick, that has pushed you to do better and be better.
Yeah. Yep. Working with her was a dream come true because I've been a fan since she got on the scene. Since the first year she dropped something, I got turned on to her from a friend of mine named Il Camille from Los Angeles, which is my heart. That's my sister. She turned me on to her, and I've been a fan ever since. So I just followed her, found out we knew a lot of the same people, and I didn't know how I wanted to work with her. I think I started off just having her on sessions. The first time I worked with her, I called her for a session, and she didn't. They didn't. The credit got messed up, but that's her singing backgrounds on "If These Walls Could Talk."
Come on.
To Pimp a Butterfly.
Wow.
That's the first session I called her on. Was that session? I didn't even go to the session. I said, hey Alex, hey, I'm Terrace. Oh yeah. I said, we need you at the studio. Blah 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 blah. I was doing something else, but I said, you got there? Yeah, I'm there. And I didn't even tell Kendrick. Kendrick said, I'm in this room, and this lady just came and sat across the room. He's texting me. Came and sat across the room. Who is she? I said, I forgot to tell you. I was hearing a voice on the song. That's the vocalist. He said, what's her name? I said, it's Alex Isley. He said, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, and then I just started building with her, working with her live, you know. Robert Glass was a dear friend of mine. He started working with her. But when we finally decided to do an album, I said, I've been hearing all these records she had put out with everybody else. And I love all the records. I love all the records. But I'm competitive, you know, very respectfully, not ego, but we're like.
You want to contribute something.
Now, let me be clear. Let me be clear. That was soft. Let me be clear. Nah, I felt like her being a few things. Remember, my father taught me your village first. She from my village. So I felt like she hadn't got with nobody that really give a certain level of fuck about the musicality that's behind her. I felt like she hadn't got with nobody that stopped their life to create something for her, because she deserves everything stopped for her. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a beautiful person inside and out. She hustles, and she be hustling. So she represents the kind of woman that I'm raised around. My cousins, my sisters, my mother, she represents that. She, in all aspects, she be going hard. She don't ask help from nobody. Nobody, bro. She don't ask for nothing. Damn near to a fault where I gotta be like, are you hungry? Are you hungry? Are you hungry? You know what I'm saying? But she don't ask for nothing, and that's honorable to me, because she ain't got to. So when I see a person don't ask for nothing, that's doing their own thing, let me stop what I'm doing to lift her up, to give her strength, to encourage her, because we need Alex Isley. So whether I do another record on her or not, this record was done as love, to say, I appreciate you, I love you, let me put you on this real LA shit, so now the next musicians or producer that get with you know they can't play with you, because we're gonna talk bad about it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we do from where I'm from. We lift ours up and let them fly. You work with your own village. You don't chase no other crew. You don't try to fit in with nobody. The fuck is that? That ain't what real South Central LA, Crenshaw District people do. We don't try to fit in. You fit in with us. So I want to make sure, you know, she didn't need nothing I'm giving her. I just want to give her more more way when she walked through places that people know she got a real crew. I'm fucking with her to the wheels. Whether I do music with her or not, I'm fucking with her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to establish that with her.
Yeah.
You know, the same thing we do for Dot, same thing we do for all the rappers.
Right.
I want to establish that for somebody that has that kind of voice, angelic voice.
I think that's so dope.
Because somebody try to trip on her, well, we're very protective of our own.
Yeah.
Somebody be weird with her, something like that. We already had to fuck up a few musicians and make sure they're not working with her no more, because we don't treat Alex Isley like that's a diamond to us. So that's how I treat that project, and I treat her, you know, like that.
Like that.
Yeah.
You've been in the lab, obviously, all the time.
You say that 9 times. You say that lab word one more motherfucking time.
Yeah.
We gonna turn the scientists in this motherfucker.
What else you got coming this year?
2 albums coming out Friday.
Word.
Yeah, I got one. Word up. Thank you. So, first album is with my godfather. He just turned 83. His name is Calvin Keys. Wow. He's a jazz guitarist. He's the one, he's monumental in my life. He's a famous jazz guitarist. Inspired George Benson, Pat Metheny, everybody knows him. He's a legend, like a real high-level legend. But growing up in LA, that's my mom said when I was a baby, I couldn't sleep. So my dad didn't want to be rehearsing, and Calvin said, man, I put him to sleep. I'd be like 3 months old. He would come to my crib and just play Body and Soul around midnight for hours for like at least 2 years till I was 2. So I went to this day, I remember these 5 standards because of that time at 1, 2 years old.
That's crazy.
I played these songs because of these lullabies, and he would just play these lullabies. So I always say he's the person that took the time to usher in that particular style called jazz into my spirit. My parents did too, but he was every night looking at me in my eyes. He said he would look at me in my eyes and just play. And just play and look at me at the chords, show me the chords. E flat, A, E flat, chord. And it just, as a baby.
As a baby.
So, you know, I'm always into doing records. I was like, man, let's do an album. He got so many albums out, but I was like, man, let me produce an album on you.
Yeah.
Oh, you too young, man. I don't know. I said, I'm not really young, but I'm younger than you, bitch. You know, I'm old as fuck to a whole community of people. Like, you know, hey, big homie, like shit. But so I got a chance to do it with some great musicians. Ben Williams, which is one of the producers I have with me, played bass. Paul Cornish, which is a piano player, plays with Alex Isley and Snow Allegra. And just a lot of other musicians with me, but that's the album that's coming out. That's coming out Friday. And that's more of a very traditional, if you like cooking food, relaxing Sunday afternoon, riding. Some just chill, nothing too loud, just chill where you could think to, you know, clean your house to, you know, whatever you want to do to it, you know.
Yeah.
You know, we play jazz, soft jazz, and talk shit about other rappers out loud. So whatever you do to it, you know what I'm saying? That's what that is. And then I got a chance to get with this artist I've been looking at for a couple of years by the name of Gallant. And I don't know if you're familiar with Gallant, but he has some good music out. And I've always been a fan of his, and I just always liked his voice. And maybe I could kind of do some different things and, you know, get with that. So we went and did one song and ended up doing a whole album in a couple of weeks. So we did a whole album. You know, I'm in the studio every day. And with all
I didn't say it this time.
Yeah, and with all due respect, Gallant, that artist, he has a studio at his crib too.
Okay.
So he's working, yeah, he's phenomenal. You know, falsetto, crazy. He's like a movie too. Like when he get on stage, it could be one person in the crowd, or it could be 30,000. He gonna give you the same show.
Same energy.
I had to tell him, you move, you don't trip over that chord right there, because he be moving all around this fast, right? You know, but yeah, we did a project which is he's a very strong artist. I mean, he has a sound in his head. He knows what he wants to go for. He knows what he's reaching for, and he tries new endeavors. So we have a project coming out called Sneak, and that comes out Friday as well.
Wow.
You know, and then I got a Christmas album coming out called Ornamentals.
Okay.
And it's just instrumentals, but it's like ornaments. You know, we got how I got creative. Yeah, you know, my cousin Teely, which we all work with. Well, everybody, Deion Ford, Samantha Whitehead, Taryn Mosley. That's like my team of my label. sounds of Crenshaw, and but not just that. That's just the creative team. They just make sure everything we just stay fly and stay protected and smooth. But T. job is to like really name the records. He's a chef. Musically, he's a beast too. Because he's the one took me around Snoop and everybody first. He was already writing songs in the 90s for DJ Pooh, Snoop, Dr. Dre, and everybody. Yeah. So he's always been a master of mixing things. He don't mix, we drink tequila straight, but everything else we mix. But I tell him, I'm doing a Christmas album, bro. We just got done with it. It was in New York. I said, I need a title for this motherfucker. What do it feel like? He'd be like, play the whole album. So we just play the whole album. We chill, we cooking to it. He'd be like, he listened and he'd be like, I got it. We all wait for him. He'd be like, or instrumentals. I'm like, what? Break it down. He was like ornaments, but instrumentals. So I said, that's genius. Yeah, oh my God, that's genius.
Well, man, I appreciate you answering all my questions, but we got some questions in the audience.
Cool.
So if it's cool with you.
Hell yeah, man. It's always cool with me.
All right. I'm gonna take my first question to my friend.
Too bad we ain't got a joint. That'd be the vibe.
That'd be the vibe. Introduce yourself.
So my name is Katera. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Katera.
I feel like there's three types of artists, right? You have somebody to study the blueprint, and they, execute the formula, boom. You have somebody that's naturally talented, right? And they just put the art out there. And then you have somebody that is connected with the creator. You've been talking about the creator, throughout this whole interview. How much of your process is influenced and how is it affected by your relationship with the creator?
That's first and foremost.
Okay.
That's why I try to be so solid. I'm not solid in all the angles of my life. I could use a little more structure and some more like stand-up shit. But for most of the parts that what I felt I want to strengthen, I'm very solid in, which is my family shit as far as me being, and I could get that better, my friend. I could get everything better, but the creator's important because that's what keeps me intact. Because I keep saying my first commitment wasn't to anybody but the creator. I made a trade for him in 7th grade. I said, if you allow me to make a way with something I could do, because I don't know how to do shit. I don't do no music. I don't know. But I was a little chubby with asthma, so I couldn't run too fast. If I stole something, I wasn't a good fighter because I ran out of breath. But I could bag and talk loud, and everybody thought I was cute, so they gave me passes, young. The real shit, I'm just, truth, but I was really kind of fearful and scared inside. But being so scared and fearful made me not scared, made the parents be not scared to where even some things that some people have witnessed me be brave in and came out on top through adversity, I was petrified the whole time. But all these things I'm saying because how I please, am I pleasing the creator and my spirit is really my first thing. That's probably why, to me, that's why I don't make certain moves. Even sometimes, a lot of things may add up to people. But to me, I'd be like, it add up, but I don't feel good about doing it, so no. Because when I die, it's just gonna be me and the creator discussing what did you make it count? These are my beliefs. These are my motherfucking beliefs. These are my beliefs. I don't need nobody here talking about what ain't, what is. You and your mama and your daddy, this is what I feel. I have a creator for me personally. Let me get that out. But I made a commitment to the creator that, man, if you give me something to do, and man, like, not man like you're a man, but like, bro. my daughter, I call my daughter be like, stop calling me bro, I'm a girl. I'll be like, bro, clean your room. Clean your fucking room, bro. But, yeah. I made a commitment. That's why it's important for me to stay solid. It's important for me to stay out of trouble. It's important for me to give back and to give who I want to give to. Because that's the thing, who I want to do that to. Yeah. And to help and to be a blessing and to be, because I'm blessed to be a blessing and to keep it going. So to keep it going, it's important because, if you in a hospital bed dying of cancer or anything, those that maybe took care of somebody, I have, so I know. Damn. This question is deep because, so, my father died in March. And it was deep because we was kicking, touring, and then that motherfucking cancer hit, bam. And I took care of him. But it's the first time, you know, you talk all that, you solid, you care. And this is why I'm on this fuck art, more life shit. Because when you're taking care of a dying human, you're not thinking of fucking art, bro.
Yeah.
You're thinking of, is he taking this on time? Can he have a bowel movement so it won't be stopped up? Am I lotioning his sores? Can I flip him over? He just lost sight today. He can't smell today. Have to do this. Have to go on tour. Fly, am I? Oh. But the whole time, I'm asking him, because we smoking weed the whole time. We doing mushrooms though. We fucked up. I'm like, Dad, man, what you feeling? He like, time. He like, man, I don't want to get nothing back, but I could have made a few more things count. I said, like, what, bro? Like, man, don't trip on that shit. That shit ain't nothing. Like, nah, fuck that. That's something. He like, what you mean? He like, man, I'm 74. And as I'm dying, I still hear the 10th grade bell ring for lunch, for school. And I remember the day I said, should I make a left and go home and practice, or should I go hang with these guys? Because they got the girls and the cocaine and everything. And he said it was a simple decision that stirred my whole 60 years into a thing. I said, that's what you thinking about? He like, yeah. Let me tell you another story. So he was going through the pain. He had bone cancer. When you're going through bone cancer, those that don't know, it's a pain from what I talked to him. And he said, man, it's a pain so fucked up. It's a pain you feel within your bone. Like, you can't scratch it. And it's just a pain that's just like, it's like I said, what, describe it? And he said, bring the paper over here. And he would get the paper and go like, and he goes, ah. So I'm laughing because I said, well, shit, should I do some artsy shit? Because I know let me play some John Coltrane. Let me play some Coltrane. You know, I'm like, don't worry, Dad, I got you. And I told my cousin, put on John Coltrane, A Love Supreme, A Love Supreme, right? So I put on Love Supreme, A Love Supreme. And he's screaming, he's crying top of his lungs. And I'm like, fuck, I'm drinking tequila, but it's not making me drunk because when your emotions are enraged, it's like, oh, I'm like, the hangover was real, but I'm like, I got you. So I said, man, go. My dad screamed, Mama, Mama, Mama. Mom been dead for years, right? So I'm like, this is deep, you know. So my dad was a realist. That's why I'm like this to this. Even this crime, I'm real till I die. I'm gonna keep this shit 100. I'm gonna fuck what this world say, what any internet say. Fuck all that. When I die, I'm gonna keep it 100. So I said, it's all right, Dad. It's all right, man. Scream for your mom. We playing Coltrane. He said, first of all, turn that shit down. And nigga, my mama been dead for 20 years. I'm just in pain. He said, don't be on that bullshit. But we all laughing, but it's like, through that was another thing where it's like, one of his lessons came through was never leave the conscious. Never leave the now. 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 If you ignore the now, the later's fucked up. You never leave the now. You never leave the now. And you identify with things. And you know, one thing I recorded all the talks with him. I asked him so many questions because I was so curious about knowing you're gonna die and not wanting to die. And what is that? Well, what are you thinking about?
Yeah.
And it was deep, man. It was he didn't want to die, but the very end, the last 2 weeks, he said, I said, how you feeling, Dad? He said, man, you know, he was addicted to practicing. Told you I grew up. Practice. So every day he practiced, drummer practice. So, man, I wish I could show you some crazy shit to where he couldn't even move his limbs. But he would say, hey, pass me the chart. the chart was like, you know, we read scores and charts
yeah,
for music. So I passed him the chart, and he's such a great sight reader. I said, how are you practicing? He's like, watch this. He took off his glasses, and if the clown sheet was like one, he would do his eyelids going.
Wow.
And I'm like, that nigga serious. You know, he was dying and practicing.
Wow.
He was dying on he stayed committed. He wasn't on no, because you know, my dad was he wasn't a soft type like, oh, hey. You know, very street dude. You know, he grew up in the streets, selling dope, playing music, doing whatever it had to do to make himself survive and making sure I had a better life than him. But when he died, he just stayed committed, and it boosted up. It gave me more inspiration to be like, oh, I'm really not fucking with no bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really gonna stand 10 toes down. Even if you know, Terrace, you know, and a lot of, the way my father, even going through that, it's some deals right now I'm going through, well, you know, you should do this, and you know, because this is good for this. Man, fuck all that. Is my spirit happy? Because if I get cancer, I'm in the bed being fucked up, going clapping couches with my eyelids. How many motherfucking lawyers and execs and YouTubers and record labels and Nike and this, and who gonna be right there feeding me, cuz? You know, gonna be the village I'm fucking with right now gonna be right there.
That's who's gonna be there.
You know, and this ain't from a bitter standpoint. This is from what it is.
Yeah.
You know, the game will try to tell a lot of us out here, you know, look at it positive. Look at it. This is positive. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen.
This is what's
you know
going
what
to
I'm saying?
happen. Yeah.
So even when I break down and cry like that, it's just a memory for me, because I'm like, man, my nigga gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But the mission is like, whoa.
It's the same.
And then Wayne Shorter, my other homie, I lost Wayne Shorter.
Jeez.
He on a mission. But everybody that died was like, everybody kept saying mission. You know, Wayne Shorter said, man, everybody said, man, you know, you feeling good, Wayne? Man, I'm ready to get out this body and get into a new body, get on the next mission. My dad, when he dies, like, he said, man, continue the mission.
Wow.
So I'm in the mission. I'm soul.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not fucking with nobody that's not on the mission.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to avoid industry politics and shit, because I'm not fucking with industry people.
No, because you're grounded in something.
It's deep. Yeah, it's deep.
Yeah,
you know, it's deep, and I don't play games. I don't play politics. I stay away from things on purpose. You know, I don't even give you a chance to fuck me over.
Yeah. Because you got to
I don't even give you a
yourself.
chance. I don't even give you. I'm protecting you. I'm fine. I'm fine. I ain't never been no victim of a motherfucking thing. I'm fine. I'm protecting you. Because you going to call the police. I don't call the police for good or bad. I don't believe in that. I'm from that era.
Yeah.
You know, police stop you. We hurry up and write the ticket. Boy, I got to go. I'm from a whole different thing with the police. A whole different thing. So I'm saying that to say I'm a whole different human when it comes to the pushing the line of respect and different things like that too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I know this business has a lot of disrespect, because that's what people think it's operated on, you know, and people sunning people. I tell everybody, somebody on the airplane was like, what is the music industry like? I said, it's like this fucked up flight. It's like I'm in business class next to you, but you probably got more money than me, but I'm in the same seat. The motherfucker with all the money's probably in the last seat in the back. And the people that worked hard to get a ticket are in the very back and can't let up, and it's called class.
Yeah. Class system.
First class, I can't get there. Business class, Sky Miles, can't get the free chicken with the Sky Miles. Gotta have this and this. Gotta have that. So the music business is like that, and I don't want to do that, man. I don't want to be like that. You see, I'm crying and shit, so I'm emotional. So I don't want to be next to somebody that take my heart and my spirit for weakness, because this all me and my babies got. And you know, I love and I respect everybody, and I'm moving with the Creator.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, for good. You know.
Yes. Yes.
But I will protect my family and protect my soul and my spirit at any cost. Right now, the new protection is let me stay away. But if I stay away and you come to me, I'm gonna have a ball, because I'm more familiar with trauma and living through turmoil and coming out on top than anything.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's what I battle with in
That's
my
what you battle
spirit.
with
That's why I don't
inside.
play politics. Cause my politic ain't your politic.
It's different.
It ain't gonna never be.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna never be. I'm raised and embedded in a strong, protective, spiritual thing. And you know, I take where I'm from spiritually and mentally and physically very serious, because when it's all over and I'm not getting called to do these, or I don't got records coming out, and you know, whatever the case is, and I'm not dependent on none of this world for any help at all. And I ain't tripping.
Yeah.
You know.
Because you know yours is coming from.
I got these 4 cousins that if they don't help me, I'm fucked them up. I got 4 motherfuckers that better help me if it get bad. But I don't do, because I'm rooted in my I'm rooted in my father. Yeah. I'm rooted in the creator. You know, the creator helped me get through that thing with my dad, and my dad was very on, like, I never took care of it. I never took care of a human, then they died. Like, I never, you know, that shit was deep, man.
Yeah.
It was my father, but it was just like seeing how the body shrivels up, and the sight goes, and the hearing, and seeing how, you know, I mean, if you're fortunate, you have everything when you leave, but you know, it was freaky and strange seeing the human being. I've seen people get shot in front of me, and that's traumatizing too. That's very fucked up. That's another thing. But it's fast.
Yeah.
And it's more, it more scares you. You don't want to get shot.
Yeah. This is
the dying
cancer
thing.
Is gradual.
Yeah, and it's like you probably won't die of cancer, but you're gonna die. So goddamn.
Yeah.
You know, let me eat this vegetable. You know what I'm saying? But damn, you be a vegan, eat vegetables, go outside, hit by a car. I mean, what the fuck? When you eat healthy, you die healthier. it's like, what the fuck, you know? It starts to be strange. But I think taking care of him really boosted up my creator belief. Because I always seen the creator do some amazing things. I saw bullets go around me. And everybody on Crenshaw saw him too at a parade. Bullets went and didn't hit me. I felt the bullets. Yeah, it was for real. It was for real. I got some witnesses. So I seen the creator do some things in my personal life, and then with this one, I just seen some shit, and I was asking a dying man, what does that feel like? And that's why I'm on some other shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, everybody's so sensitive these days, and what words mean, man. Let me tell everybody straight up. I don't even put that much power in words no more.
Well, thank you for your
I forgot that was your question. I started crying and shit.
I appreciate your question.
I just had a quick question regarding just how you you work with musicians, but I wanted to know more about how if you would be transitioning to any artist out in like Africa, anything like that.
Yep. I've been I went to San Francisco. I have some friends that run a distribution company called Empire, named Ghazi and Nima. They're my family. Like, I have a lot of my earlier albums are through this company called Empire, and Dinner album. A lot of albums I put out, but they have a strong connection with all of the Afrobeat music. Like, they was the first ones to have Burna Boy and everything and all this stuff. So my partner, my woman was playing this. She work out every day. Her and my daughter, these motherfuckers work out 10 times a day. And when you work out, you playing this shit all day. And after, I'm just like, okay, what is this music? My daughter's singing all this shit. Everybody happy, smiling. Cause the music is so...
Yeah, cause it's vibey. Yeah. It's uplifting.
I'm in there trying to create some dark shit, just... Everything is... So I said, who is this? That's Burna Boy, that's this. And she started teaching about the different styles of music. So then I said, man, let me call my boys. He said, well, come to find out, come out here. We got Burna Boy, all these different Burna Boy. Everybody's having to be in San Francisco at the one studio. Everybody that run the fucking game. So I said, they all there? He said, they all there, T. They all know who you are. They just don't. In Africa, it's different. They would love to meet a producer like you. I said, they fucking with me. Oh, I'm pulling up. So I went up to San Francisco and I worked with all of the ones. It was like 3-4 days, and it was interesting seeing them work because it's a machine. How I'm doing my records, that's how I knew I wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
That's how I know it's some African shit with us, because they was working like me. I was like, how many records I do? We did 9. Motherfucker, I just left you. And they kept coming in. I'm talking about, but you know, the African artists, they dress fresh in the month. They coming in glasses, good weed. When they in the booth, Burna Boy, it's like a fucking video in the booth. It's like, I'm like, ooh, what the fuck? This shit is, hey. So I started fucking with them.
Yeah.
They got a SEP. I'm like, what is that? I'm pulling up. And then they showed me the cribs.
Yeah.
I said, how much? And I'm paying that for,
Yeah.
they don't come to Africa. Brother, we got you.
Yeah.
But what I was impressed by, all the cats that did all the different, and Afrobeat is one thing. It's not, what I realized is I shouldn't be saying Afrobeat. I really want to take away the name of it. It's just, ultimately, it's just high-level black music. It's, you know what it is to me? It's like what hip-hop did, where I feel like all this shit come from Africa. No, I don't feel. All this come from Africa. Even when you listen to Latin music, Afro-Cuban, Brazilian, it's all Africa, and motherfuckers can research that themselves. I don't want to get into that. Y'all go to school for that shit. I did. I did, but it's all, so what I feel like when I went and got with the cats, what I learned was, I said, it's like, after a certain amount of years, 100 years, land reverts back to the original owners sometime, the family. I feel like with this new music, all the art resorted back to where it came from now. And now they're the root. But now they got all the influences and lessons and all this Americanized different things. But now they took that back and say, oh, we gonna fuck y'all up again. Whoa. Because in Africa, it's about harmony, melodies, rhythm, and festive. Whoa. Okay, yeah. Corny ass American pop culture, body. Hip hop culture, boring. Jazz, y'all been needing help. Boom. Dance, motherfuckers can't. Now we got so many different rhythms. Everybody can find their own rhythm to dance to. Even the corny motherfuckers can get hit. We got them.
We got them.
So I feel like that music is a lot more powerful than what that music is. More of a political statement message than anything to me, because it's like all the influences resorted back to the original owners of the art.
That's a fire.
And they made it better again to give it to us to try it again.
Yeah.
But this time they came back with sales and money, because they get money now.
They get money now.
Oh, they gave them their own shit, gave them a platform, and now those brothers over there, Answers, they doing deals as owners. They just not a bunch of African artists doing Afrobeat dancing music. These are owners and producers and entrepreneurs. Everybody over there was doing beats, laptops, and talking about a gang of money simultaneously. That's why I was like, I knew I wasn't wrong. All these motherfuckers, you're an artist, you're this. They was talking about, yeah, when we do this, we gonna make a lot of money. I said, that's why I'm doing this too, bro. That's why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So it was that, question, your question, yes, I am. I'm trying to get a house out there.
Terrace, man, I appreciate you for kicking it with us, for talking, for sharing your
They
story.
gotta edit that point I just did.
He said they gotta take that one out.
That's all. Edit that.
We'll take care of that.
It's all
Don't
good.
stress that, man.
Yeah, man, thank you for your time, man. Man, thank y'all for allowing me. This is like a therapy session for me. That's why I do these, you know what I'm saying? I'll be cool in the crib, but sometimes I'll be feeling like talking to people that's gonna listen. Then I go back in the crib, you know what I'm saying? But I appreciate the time of even having me. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I don't be asking questions. They say, come show up. I say, is it cool? Is it some corny shit? If it's corny, talk about the songs, man. What does Kendrick eat for breakfast? I don't fucking know. Anything like that, I'm not really doing. But this was very motivating, and I hope to do this again. I hope you keep on doing this and keep asking more in-depth questions to people and break people down. Break people down and get people to give them. We need more of the human being experience filmed instead of what the Gram shows and different things like that. When this Gram gets cut off, I think it's going to be an internet pandemic one day, And we're going to see a very dark time for people that aren't secure within themselves, that look for the internet or outside sources for validation. I pray everybody does well in here and really stay strong mentally and spiritually, and don't count nobody else's pockets, because everybody got their own book.
Facts. Appreciate you.
That was game.
That was game.
Free game.
We can't wait for the projects on Friday.
Oh, come on now. Come on now. Appreciate y'all.
Y'all make some more noise.
Time to go smoke weed. Hey now. Hey now. Hey now.
Bars for days.